Ladies and gentlemen, before you step into a new day, before you engage the battles, the conversations, the assignments, and the opportunities waiting for you, there is something you must never ignore. Thanksgiving is more than a polite gesture or a casual expression of gratitude. It is a spiritual principle that has the power to shift the atmosphere of your entire day. Waking up and choosing to be thankful immediately repositions your heart and mind from lack to abundance. When a person begins with thanksgiving, they are acknowledging that life itself is a gift and that every breath is proof of God's mercy. This mindset changes how challenges are viewed. Instead of being consumed by what is missing, the heart becomes anchored in what is already present. And this focus on blessings invites more blessings to manifest. Thanksgiving is also a key of access. Just as gates are opened by keys, the gates of the new day open in response to gratitude. Scripture reveals that entry into the presence of God requires thanksgiving and praise, which means it is impossible to walk in divine presence without first expressing genuine gratitude. When Kristen rises in the morning and whispers, "Lord, thank you for health, thank you for strength, thank you for peace," she is not only expressing her feelings, but also creating a spiritual pathway into favor. This principle ensures that she does not begin the day with heaviness, but with joy, which gives her strength to face tasks with confidence. Another dimension of thanksgiving is that it protects the heart from bitterness and worry. Anxiety thrives in an environment of complaints, but thanksgiving suffocates worry because it reminds the soul of victories already won. It is impossible to remain fearful when constantly rehearsing past testimonies. Thanksgiving also builds faith because recalling what God has already done strengthens confidence in what he will yet do. By saying, "Thank you for yesterday's help," one is unconsciously preparing for today's breakthroughs. Thanksgiving is also an act of humility. It is a way of saying, "I know I did not achieve this on my own." A thankful heart does not take credit, but acknowledges the invisible hand of God at work. This attracts greater grace because humility always draws divine assistance. Moreover, thanksgiving is magnetic in the spirit. It pulls favor, opportunities, and help. People are naturally drawn to those who live with a thankful attitude, and God himself delights in dwelling with the grateful. For Kristen, starting her day with thanksgiving is not a routine, but a secret weapon. It clothes her with joy, draws the presence of God near, silences fear, and prepares the ground for a fruitful and victorious day. Prayer is not merely a religious obligation, but a lifeline that connects the believer to the wisdom, strength, and guidance of God. To prioritize prayer is to recognize that before engaging with men, one must first engage with the Creator of men. When the day begins, countless decisions, challenges, and opportunities lie ahead, and without divine direction, the heart is left to guesswork. Prayer brings alignment. It adjusts human plans to fit into divine purpose and ensures that energy is not wasted chasing shadows. The individual who prays at the start of the day gains clarity that prevents confusion and secures peace even in uncertain moments. Prayer functions as a place of exchange. In those early moments of communion, weakness is traded for strength, fear is replaced with courage, and anxiety gives way to assurance. Kristen learned that when she bows in prayer, she rises with boldness. Tasks that once seemed overwhelming become manageable, not because they have reduced in size, but because she has increased in strength. Prayer enlarges capacity to handle pressure and equips the mind with solutions that intellect alone cannot provide. It is in the place of prayer that unseen battles are won long before they appear in the physical. Another dimension of prioritizing prayer is access to wisdom. Life presents questions daily, and human logic is often insufficient. Prayer positions the heart to hear divine strategies that others cannot see. It becomes a channel for instructions, warnings, and insights that guide decisions. Kristen discovered that prayer often prevents mistakes by highlighting traps she would never have noticed with natural senses. The voice of God, captured in the quietness of prayer, becomes a compass that keeps her from derailment. Prayer also builds intimacy with God. Beyond requests and petitions, it is a relationship builder. When given priority, it strengthens trust, deepens love, and creates sensitivity to the leading of the Spirit. This intimacy ensures that God's presence is tangibly felt throughout the day, making ordinary tasks carry extraordinary grace. To prioritize prayer is to say, God, I cannot move without you. It is both an act of dependence and an act of wisdom. For Kristen, beginning her day with prayer means she never walks alone. It anchors her spirit, guards her heart, enlightens her mind, and ensures that every step taken carries the backing of heaven. Words are not empty sounds, they are spiritual forces that shape realities. To declare prophetic words is to consciously release life, power, and destiny, shaping truths into the atmosphere. Every day carries uncertainties, challenges, and opportunities, and the mouth becomes the tool that determines how the day unfolds. When Kristen wakes up and boldly declares, I am favored, I walk in wisdom, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, she is not engaging in mere positive thinking, but in a spiritual law that compels the unseen to align with her confession. Life responds to the voice of faith, and silence often leaves space for confusion to reign. Declarations function as seeds. Just as a farmer plants with expectation of harvest, the believer plants words into the womb of the day. If seeds of doubt, fear, and negativity are sown, the harvest will reflect them. But when faith-filled words are spoken, the soil of time brings forth results that align with those declarations. Kristen understood that keeping silent in the morning is like leaving her field empty for weeds, but speaking prophetic words ensures her day is cultivated with intention. Another dimension of prophetic declaration is authority. God designed humanity to rule by words, and spiritual realms respond to voice commands. Mountains are moved not by wishes, but by spoken decrees. By declaring prophetic words, the believer enforces heaven's will on earth. This is why declarations must align with Scripture. They carry authority because they echo the voice of God. Kristen finds strength in declaring verses over her life, turning promises into personal realities. What is written becomes what is spoken, and what is spoken becomes what is manifested. Declarations also reprogram the mind. The human heart is easily influenced by fear, past experiences, or negative voices. But consistent prophetic words rewire thinking patterns. Saying, I am more than a conqueror, daily eventually conditions the soul to believe and act like a conqueror. Thoughts follow words, and actions follow thoughts. Kristen discovered that her courage grew every time she declared victory, even before seeing results. To declare prophetic words is to legislate over the unseen, plant seeds into time, and command order in the midst of chaos. It transforms the speaker and the environment simultaneously. For Kristen, beginning her day with bold declarations ensures that she does not merely react to circumstances, but proactively shapes her atmosphere with the power of spoken truth. Planning with wisdom is the bridge between vision and accomplishment. Every new day offers 24 hours, but how those hours are invested determines whether progress or regret will be harvested. To plan with wisdom means to recognize that life does not reward motion but direction, and not every activity is equal in value. Kristen understood that starting her day without a plan was like embarking on a journey without a map. She would end up busy but not productive. When she embraced wise planning, her energy and resources began to flow into the right channels, and the results became evident. Planning with wisdom begins with clarity of priorities. Not every task deserves the same attention, and wisdom separates what is urgent from what is important. Kristen learned to align her plans with divine direction so that her schedule reflects purpose, not just pressure. By seeking guidance through prayer and then putting tasks in order, she ensures that the day reflects balance. Time for God, time for growth, time for responsibilities, and time for rest. This alignment prevents burnout and builds consistency, which is the secret behind lasting success. Another dimension of wise planning is flexibility. Wisdom acknowledges that while plans give structure, life can bring interruptions. Instead of being frustrated, the wise planner leaves room for adjustments while maintaining focus on the overall goal. Kristen structures her day but remains sensitive to divine redirection, which allows her to maximize opportunities she did not initially foresee. This flexibility keeps her from being rigid and ensures she does not miss divine appointments disguised as disruptions. Planning also demonstrates stewardship. To God, time is a gift, and how it is managed reveals responsibility. Wasted hours become wasted opportunities, but well-planned hours become fruitful seasons. Kristen discovered that writing down her tasks and reviewing them daily created a sense of accountability, and soon discipline replaced procrastination. The habit of documenting her goals reminded her that success is not accidental but intentional. Planning with wisdom is not only about managing time, but also about managing energy, relationships, and resources. It is the art of putting the right effort into the right place at the right time. For Kristen, wise planning turned her days from random activities into purposeful steps. It allowed her to live with intentionality, walk with clarity, and end each day with the satisfaction of progress made toward destiny. The beginning of any journey sets the tone for its conclusion, and this principle is especially true for each day. Your start determines your finish, because the initial moments of a day carry the power to influence attitude, decisions, and momentum. When the morning begins with confusion, complaints, or carelessness, the rest of the day often struggles to recover. But when the day begins with focus, gratitude, prayer, and intentionality, strength is supplied for whatever lies ahead. Kristen realized that her mornings acted as the steering wheel of her destiny. Whichever direction she turned them determined the path she would follow until evening. Momentum is built at the start. Just as a runner gains speed from the way they launch off the track, so the believer gains strength from how they engage the early hours. If the beginning is weak, catching up later becomes difficult. But if it is strong, consistency flows naturally. Kristen found that starting her day in God's presence gave her inner strength that carried her through tasks and challenges without unnecessary struggle. Her start determined the level of peace and focus she maintained throughout the day. Another dimension is mental programming. The thoughts and confessions made at the beginning of the day often dominate the mind for hours to come. If fear is entertained in the morning, fear shapes perception. But if faith is declared, faith fuels boldness. Kristen discovered that when she spoke words of victory over her morning, her mind remained anchored on success even when obstacles appeared. The mind, like soil, receives its first seeds in the morning, and those seeds influence the harvest at night. Your start also determines your finish, because beginnings carry prophetic symbolism. Each new day mirrors a new season, and how one treats the start of a day reflects how one will treat the start of larger opportunities. If beginnings are handled with seriousness, ends will be marked with success. Kristen's discipline in handling her mornings translated into discipline in handling promotions, relationships, and assignments, proving that the quality of a start extends far beyond the immediate hours. The finish is rarely an accident. It is the product of the start. When mornings are invested with thanksgiving, prayer, declarations, and planning, the evenings will testify of productivity, peace, and victory. Kristen's testimony reveals that destiny is shaped not by chance but by choice, and the choice of how to begin determines how the day will end.